That should be fun coming up later in a few days. Also Sunday, you have Game 6 between the Heat and the Celtics, who the winner of that series will go on to the NBA Finals, and now we know who they're going to play.
Oh, yeah.
It's that team right there. The Lakers take down the Nuggets. Let's show you how it played out down in the bubble. LeBron and the Lakers. LA trying to get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010 when Kobe led them to their last NBA championship. Nuggets, of course, 6-0 when facing elimination games this postseason without a game in the NBA playoffs. Goes for 38, 16, and 10, a ho-hum triple-double. Lakers win the series 4-1. So I mentioned this is LeBron's 10th NBA Finals appearance. Very elite company, as you might expect. The only other players ever to reach 10 finals are Bill Russell, who played in a record 12, Sam Jones, also part of the Celtics dynasty teams, and Kareem. LeBron already the second leading scorer in finals history, behind only Jerry West.
And with that, we welcome in our NBA analyst, Tim Legler. Legs, Nuggets with a 3-1 comebacks in their previous 2 series, but the Lakers proved to be too much in this one. What do you think was the difference tonight in Game 5?
Very simple, Tony. The Lakers have LeBron James and the Nuggets don't. I mean, if I really want to sum up what tonight was about, you saw it out of LeBron early in this game. He was just doing some straight line dribble drives, playing power basketball, particularly in that second quarter when they built the lead. I mean, what he was reading in front of him was not enough traffic to slow him down. And so he's just going to get his shoulder turned and he's going to get into the chest of defenders and he's going to get to the rim. I thought that was basically what summed up the first half. And then at the end of the game, you never know if LeBron James is going to get this hot with his jump shot, but clearly he was feeling it. And so he decided to take matters into his own hands at the end. After Denver refused to go away, LeBron James was going to end this game and end this series on his own. With his shot making, we know about his playmaking, but sometimes LeBron James turns into that killer scorer mode where he's going to do things on his own as a scorer, and that's how he decided to end this series. He was just too much for the Nuggets in this one, and you give Denver all the credit in the world because they fought through so much. Jokic in foul trouble, Murray not 100%, and yet they refused to go away. They just kept on chipping away, found themselves in a one-possession game, and then LeBron James just completely took over to ensure that he would get to his 10th NBA Finals. Really remarkable if you think about that in 17 years.
Monster level for LeBron, a force to be reckoned. Now the Lakers go to the NBA Finals where they will face either the Heat or the Celtics. Tim, what do you think will be the key for the East winner against LeBron and these high-power Lakers?
Well, I'm going to make it sound easier said than done because I don't have to do it, so I could just talk about it. But what it comes down to is this. You have to make the Lakers a three-point shooting team, and I don't think Denver did a good enough job of that in this series. And that means you have to take the ball out of LeBron's hands as much as you can. You've got to put a lot of traffic in front of him. You've got to get back in transition and wall him off. When he starts to back down and starts to, dribble the ball more than 3 or 4 times, you've got to get the ball out of his hands and dare their role players to beat you from the three-point line. I think a good number is going to be 35 to 40 three-point attempts. If you can force them into that number, you've got a chance because it still is the Achilles heel. And I know some guys can make shots and some guys can get hot, but you have to live with that. You've got to give up something, and against this team, it has to be the three-point shot. I think they only took 24 in this game, and that's just not enough because they're going to dominate you and gut you with points in the paint. And Anthony Davis and LeBron James are going to be the 2 best players on the floor, no matter who they play. So if they're playing to their strengths and they're beating you at the rim, in transition, and at the foul line, you are not going to win that series if you're Miami or Boston. It has to be determined by the Lakers role players. And let's see if they can do a better job of it defensively than I think Denver was able to.
Tim, hang on. Apparently, Nuggets head coach Mike Malone is gushing about LeBron. Let's listen in. That's new on SportsCenter.
It is incredible, and when you just step back and look and marvel at what LeBron is doing at this stage of his career, how he continues to find ways to improve and get better and take whatever team he's on to new heights, that defines his greatness. I mean, 10th finals appearance. And I know everybody wants to get caught up in the whole argument, the greatest of all time. That is an unwinnable debate. LeBron is a great player, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And his resume speaks for itself. And like I mentioned earlier, in a game 5 closeout game when the game was hanging in the balance, who took over? The best player on the floor. And that's what you've come to expect from him.
To your point, Tim, the best player took over. And, you know, it's a little bit of a heartbreaker, right? Because the Nuggets were the bubble Cinderella. They fell short. They had quite a run in the bubble. Tim, what does their future look like to you?
Man, it can't be any brighter, honestly. I think this is a team that will be in the NBA Finals within 2 or 3 years. I firmly believe it. And they just need one thing, because now they've had a star in Jokic now for a couple of years. Jamal Murray now has to translate what he just did in the bubble to a full 82-game season. When it gets back to normal NBA calendar, can he continue to do what he did in the bubble? I believe he can, because his handle, his range, his finishing ability, all of those things are on star level now. So there's 2 pieces. And now you look at some of the other guys that have emerged. Jeremy Grant now looks like he has found a home. Gary Harris is going to be much better going forward. He had a tough break with an injury, couldn't find his rhythm. But the key to me is Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be an all-star in this league, and it's the one element that this team needs offensively, that big wing that can get a shot from anywhere on the floor. That's what Michael Porter represents. And to me, to get there, he's going to have to get physically stronger, which obviously he will. He's still a young player developing into his body. And he has to work on his handle. That's the one thing that will separate them. Those guys can escape. They've got a handle that can allow them to get to mid-range area of the floor, beat you from deep, whatever it requires in the moment. He has to take lessons from all of those great wings playbooks and add that to his game. And once he does, you now have an all-star to star caliber point guard. You've got an all-star front court player, and then you're going to have an all-star wing with a great supporting cast and a very well-coached team. This is a team that will be in the NBA Finals, I believe, to keep that group together within the next 3 years.
Tim, as always, thank you so much for the perspective. Once again, the Lakers have one more stop in the NBA bubble.